Hello, I'm here with my monthly look at the previews catalog from Diamond Distribution. A more or less comprehensive look at what's going to be hitting comic shops. Obviously, there's a lot of great stuff that never goes through the direct market shops, but this is kind of the best we have at the moment. So this is for March 2024. Embarrassing cover. We'll just get past this. There was nothing from Marvel and DC that jumped out to me this month, so I won't waste my time with those. And we'll get into it. All right. So, from Image, I have never read Hack Slash before. I believe that's a series from Tim Seeley. The reason I'm going to mention this book, though, Hack Slash Back to School, is because this is written and drawn by Zoe Thorogood, who has recently become, not even that recently, for the past few years, has become sort of a minor sensation in the world of independent comics. She's English, I believe, but been flown out here. So, anyway, just thought that was an odd match. I have no idea how long ago she did this work, but thought it was worth mentioning. Another sensation in the world of independent comics. Daniel Warren Johnson, Transformers Volume 1. He's the writer and the artist. This collects Transformers 1 through 6. Seems like people have enjoyed it. I don't know how much interest I have in it. I'm a child of the 80s. I like Transformers, but we'll see. I don't know. And one other thing I thought I'd mention from Image, Packlist number 8 by Dustin Weaver. I haven't really read any of these issues, but I have mentioned it on these videos a couple of times because it is a kind of one-man anthology comic, which is an odd thing to have from Image, and it just seems to be kind of its own thing off there, so I thought I would mention it. If anyone out there has read it, let me know what you think. From Ablaze, a company that has a lot of hits and misses, both. This is Marshall Bass, written by Darko McCann. Artist is Igor Kordy. Kordy for sure has done lots of work for Marvel. Looks like, okay, they both have. They've done Cable, The End, and Soldier X. I'm not familiar with either one of those things. I think Igor Kordy did some Punisher work with Garth Ennis, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, looks to be sort of a European graphic novel. The art looks pretty good in these small representations we get. Cover looks great. Anyway, thought it was worth mentioning. Definitely would not have been out of place on Humanoid's list. Next we'll jump a bit from Dark Horse. So I don't know what's going on at Dark Horse nowadays, but I'm going to mention 3 books, all of whom are resolicits. Excuse me. Empowered Volume 12 by Adam Warren. I think this has been resolicited at least 3 times at this point. The Legend of Luther Arkwright by Brian Talbot. The 3rd Luther Arkwright book also has been resolicited several times. And this is at least one resolicit. The Mobius Library, The Major. So I don't know what's going on with them. They just keep resoliciting books and then not delivering them. Those are the only books I care about from them that I thought were worth mentioning, but so I don't know how often it's happening with other stuff. But as I look at the page, resolicit, seems to be on almost every paperback or hardcover except for a Black Hammer book. And this original graphic novel here. So anyway, not a good sign. I don't know what's going on over there at Dark Horse. This I thought was interesting. I did not pick this up when it was a Kickstarter, but Black Mask is listing Faust. I assume this is kind of the same book that was collected by Kickstarter, but without maybe all of the bells and whistles. This is a black and white in color paperback, so not a giant hardcover. Anyway, that's very interesting. I don't know if this has ever been collected in trade paperback before. I don't think so. It's the original 15-issue run. Obviously, with the attention cartoonist kayfabe is given to this series, the legend has kind of built it up past what its quality will be able to deliver. But, still a book of interest for a lot of people. From Conundrum, a quality publisher out of Canada. The Field by Dave Lapp. I'm basically mentioning this because Conundrum's a good publisher, and I recognize the name Dave Lapp, but I've never read anything by him. But I know he's never done anything like this. 540 pages. That's a hefty graphic novel. So yeah, just thought it was worth a mention. Came out of nowhere. If I'm not incorrect with my memory, Distillery, is that the one of the many sort of, well, yeah, maybe I have it wrong. I can't keep track of these companies that are put together by established creators that are going to take over the world and that we've all forgotten about a couple of years from now. I thought I would mention this comic, though. The Blood Brothers Mother #1 by Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Rizzo, just because it's the 100 Bullets team. They've done quite a bit of other things together. I don't know how many people care at this point, but I don't particularly. But I know that a lot of people do like 100 Bullets, and thought I would mention it, that they're working on something. This Distillery company, they devote a lot of pages to it, so they're really pushing it. But yeah, they have a Scott Schneider comic, so not stuff I particularly care about. Epicenter Comics, Alvar Mayor, Volume 4, The Gold of Peru. I believe this is the fourth and final book. Oh yeah, don't miss the final book of this classic from two legends, Carlos Trillo and Enrique Brescia. These are beautiful books. Enrique Brescia is, in my opinion, not quite at his father's level, but he's still a hell of a good artist. Also, two other books. These were kickstarted, so I saw them there. I didn't back them. Ken Parker, The Breath and the Dream, by Giancarlo Berardi and Ivo Milazzo. Italian Western stuff. This one is Tom's Bar by the same creators. So I'm pretty interested in seeing what these look like. I'm not familiar with either of those guys. But one thing the Italians do very well is Westerns. Now we jump to our friends at Fantagraphics. The Atlas Comics Library, #3, In the Days of the Rockets, by Hank Chapman, Joe Meneely, Mike Sikowski, et al. Very cool cover. Not familiar with this title. I'm familiar with Joe Meneely and Mike Sikowski as artists, but this is all work I don't know anything about, but I'm sure the book will look beautiful. Here's the book I'm the most excited about this month. Delights, A Story of Hieronymus Bosch by Guy Caldwell. Very much looking forward to this book coming out. I was able to read this book in manuscript form, just, basically photocopies that were being edited. I loved it. I think it might be his best graphic novel. He's only done a few, so it's not like he has some long list behind him, but I thought it was a very satisfying book, considering his age. He's 80 or close to it. Some great art in there, some great inking, some great nature scenes. And very enjoyable story. Anyway, very much looking forward to seeing this book in its final form. The Comics Journal Yearbook, Best of 2023. They released one of these last year, which was great, and looking forward to see what the top 10 is this year. And then various contributors write about each of the books that made their top 10 list. So yeah, highly recommended. J and K, or J plus K, by John Pham. This is a softcover, and I think it might be a reprinting of a previous hardcover that Fanta put out. Same title, same author, so I'm guessing that's the case. But it seems like John Pham's work is always kind of hard to come by, so if you're intrigued by him at all, I would recommend it. Psychodrama Illustrated, number 7, by Gilbert Hernandez. Just another 24-page comic from Gilbert that is pretty hard to classify. I'm a Gilbert guy, so I'll be aboard. All My Bicycles by Power Poala. My apologies for my terrible pronunciation. Not sure if this book has a foreign origin or not. It doesn't say so. But all I have to go by is the cover, which does look nice. Also reprints of The Passion of Gengoro Tagame, master of gay erotic manga. If you have never read any of this stuff, it's a tough read. Makes you squirm in your seat. But the guy can really fucking draw. I will say that. And yeah, it says here the Tama Finland of Japan, and I can definitely see how he would earn that title. But unlike Finland, Tama Finland, who his stories are largely sort of happy and just sort of, everyone's smiling. These really get into BDSM and pain, said in a way that wouldn't make you squirm in your seat. But fascinating comics all the same. Pitar and Liza. Here we go. By Miroslav Sekulic Struja. Not sure where this book is coming from either. I got to take a look at this book the other day. It's gorgeous. It's big. It's 9 by 12.5. So, and beautiful colors throughout. Really great looking. This is a sample of it here. Anyway, I'm intrigued. I don't know anything else about it. Hurricane Nancy by Nancy Burton. Nancy Burton was one of the earliest 1960s underground cartoonists, creating strips under the pen name Hurricane Nancy, among others. So this is the first collection of her work ever published and reprints many of her comics and drawings from the 1960s, in addition to her more recent work. So, Fana once again doing the work of preserving some of the undergrounds that would be lost otherwise. And right next to it, The Lost Worlds of George Metzger, another underground cartoonist with more of a sci-fi bent. I've also seen this book. Looks gorgeous. 320 pages, 8 by 11. It's going to look great. So yeah, lots of good stuff from Fana this month. Let's see where we go from here. Floating World, out of Portland. American Nature Presents. This is basically a team up between the Santos sisters and Tedward, who's a character from Josh Pettinger. Yeah, don't know too much about it, but I like both of those comics, so I'll check it out. I thought I'd also mention this comic here, Sept in Ember, one shot by Farrell Dalrymple. It's 32 pages of art and text. There you go. I'm not really a Dalrymple guy, but I know a lot of people are, so just thought I would mention it since they might overlook the Floating World section. Flying Eye Books, a company I'm not familiar with. Garbage Night, The Complete Collection by Benji Lee. I have read the first Garbage Night book, and then this is now sort of an omnibus with that book and a sequel attached to it. Never a huge fan when they take that step. You're basically double buying something else. So I don't know that I'll check this out. But anyway, nice cartooning, anthropomorphic, young people, post-apocalyptic. There you go. From Overstreet, from Gemstone Publishing, Overstreet, the Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide to Lost Universes, Volume 2. I picked up the first volume because I am interested in a couple of these, I don't know, mistakes of comics history, like Marvel's New Universe or DC's Impact. This one is going to be featuring Fawcett's Marvel family, Marvel 2099, the original Chaos Comics, Captain Canuck, Badger and Nexus, DN Agents, Tim Truman's Scout, etc. So, I love Tim Truman. A couple of these others I'm mildly interested in. I don't know whether I'll pop for the whole book or not. But anyway, if any of those make your ears stand up, there you go. This is a book that was out last year. So this must just be, it's just re-available. But I saw it on several best of the year lists. The Talk by Darren Bell. Darren Bell is a cartoonist who I believe does editorial cartooning and had a daily strip, I think called Candorville. And anyway, this is the talk that black parents must have with their children to warn them about the dangers of our society. I'm intrigued. I would like to see a copy of this somewhere. I've never seen it. It's probably the sort of book that ends up more in bookstores than in comic shops. But I'd be curious to check it out, that's for sure. But I thought I would mention it here, even though it is not new. From fellow YouTubers, Living the Line, Moonray, Echoes of Ascension. It's a new Brandon Graham book. Right below it is Moonray, Mother's Skin, which is the first Moonray book, which just came out recently, I believe. Anyway, once again, this sounds like a refrain from me. I apologize for this. I'm not a Brandon Graham guy particularly, but I know that lots of other people are, so I figured I would mention it. He does make attractive looking books, and Living the Line always does a really good job on their production. From NYRC, the New York Review of Comics, Spiral and Other Stories by Aidan Koch. I think it's Koch, maybe it's Koch. Anyway, I have read some of Aidan Koch's comics before. Hard for me to distill them down into a sentence or two. I'm not super excited about this book, though I know a lot of people will be. But I do think that NYRC has pretty impeccable taste, and I will definitely give the book a look. A publisher that I do not think has impeccable taste is Oni. But I'll mention one of their books here, because once again, other people might be interested. The Man from Maybe, written by Jordan Thomas, drawn by Shaky Kane, who makes a lot of people very excited with his sort of Jack Kirby meets Glenn Baxter thing. I like Shaky Kane fine, but I don't know that his name being here is enough of an inducement for me to pick it up. Rebellion. Essential Judge Anderson, Satan, trade paperback. Written by Alan Grant, but the reason I mention it is because the art is by Arthur Ranson. I am an Arthur Ranson guy. Love his art. I have one of these Judge Anderson books, Shambhala, which is gorgeous. Really, really nice job. So that's something I'm interested in. Also thought I'd mention, these have been in the catalog before, but these works by early Hugo Pratt, the guy who would later go on to do Corto Maltese. But there's now, looks like 3 books. Night of the Devil, Battler Britain, and The Iron Fist all have early Hugo Pratt in them. I don't know if they're any good or not. I haven't seen one in person, but thought I would at least mention it. Hugo Pratt's one of the titans, but sometimes you don't always want to see their earliest stuff. Self-Made Hero, George Sand, True Genius, True Women. Written by Severine Vidal, art by Kim Cosigny. I don't know. A lot of these biography books we've been inundated with are pretty disappointing. This may be as well, I don't know, but I did like that cover quite a bit. Yeah, if it's all looks like that, I would be very interested in checking out that book. Silver Sprocket has a new one-shot, My Body Unspooling by Leo Fox. And this is a, basically, they're calling it a mini comic, but it's a 32-page comic, 8x11, so hardly mini. And Leo Fox put out a book last year. Prokaryote Season. And Boy Island, My Body. Oh, and Boy Island. Those are the previous 2 books. This is My Body Unspooling. Anyway, very singular artist, that's for sure. Thought I'd also mention this other book that's not new, A Left Star and the Strange Occurrence. I read that just recently. Not a perfect book by any means, but attractive looking and interesting. The writer-artist is Jean-Philippe, who I was not familiar with, but clearly talented. Looking to see what else they do. Tomorrow's Comic Book Creator number 35. So they're getting into Denny O'Neil, the quintessential 1970s writer-editor. I don't think I would view that as a compliment. They probably meant it to be. But always interesting. Comic Book Creator is a very good magazine. The editor is John B. Cook. Always does a great job. And then lastly, from Uncivilized Books, Maple Terrace trade paperback, the 3-issue series that's now been collected. I enjoyed it. I'm a fan of Noah Van Sciver's work. But I think people that maybe are a few years younger than me that were young in the 90s really responded to this. I know a couple people for whom that's true. But very readable. If Noah Van Sciver is someone you've heard about and you want to try something out, I think it'd be a great entry point. It's not a very serious comic. Has some laughs and some pathos as well. And weirdly, no manga this month that stood out to me. I hope I didn't miss anything of too much interest. If you do think I missed something, please let me know. If you have any comments about anything I talked about, I would love to hear those too. Otherwise, I am out of here. Thanks.